Hi, this is Parmish Verma. Subscribe to Siddharth Kannan's channel now.
Actor, singer, actually accidental singer, director, producer, all the way from Punjab, but a man who respects and loves what he does. Ladies and gentlemen, Parmish Verma, kaise hain aap? How are you doing, brother?
Thank you, buddy. Great. Thank you very much for having me. And hello, everybody watching.
आपने ये फिल्म बनाया है एंड अभी फिल्म से पहले यानी शूटिंग से पहले आपने मुझसे कहा यार मैं ते बापू जो मेरा फिल्म आ रहा है एक्चुअली मैं अपने बापू के साथ काम कर रहा हूँ राइट
जी
तो बापू के साथ काम करने पर तोते उड़ जाते हैं बापू जब एंटर करते तो आप ऐसे भीगी बिल्ली की तरह बैठे रहते हैं या यू लाइक बापू इट्स योर सीन माय सीन we're not father son we're actually actors
I think we never had that relationship जहाँ मैं father से कभी डरा नहीं. My father wasn't very strict. I think that जो बिगी बिल्ली वाला आपने बात बोली वो that was my mother and the whole family would go बिगी बिल्ली when my mom would come. So my father he's a sweetheart and he gave us this opportunity to be ourselves and we were great friends growing up.
When you come down to your Punjabi film industry, right? You've had a few hits, you've done big films, you're big digitally as well. वहाँ पर क्या struggles देखनी पड़ी? I mean, was it easy for you to become who you are?
I think it's never easy for anybody to become whatever they are, because regardless of which field you're in, you could be a doctor. It'll be hard for you to be a doctor. But I feel the initial struggles that I felt, that I initially saw, was that I wanted to be an actor, and to become an actor, I would go see people, I would go do an audition, and I won't hear back. And that's what happens with most of the people these days. Even if they're in Bombay, if they're in Delhi or Punjab, wherever, regardless of where they might be. So I learned that in order to get my big break, I need to show worth in me for the potential producer or the director. Like I need to have X amount of, let's say for instance, if I want somebody to cast me as a main lead, all that I would feel that the fact that I know how to act, the fact that I'm fit, the fact that I want to be an actor, I'm really dedicated actor, that's not enough. So I started making music videos, I started working around the field and I started learning the craft around acting. So I learned how to direct, I learned how to edit videos, I learned how to do production, I possibly did everything. And before I got my first break as a main lead in my first film in 2017, I had done over 150 music videos.
My God.
And they would have touched way over 1.5 billion YouTube views.
But tell me, आप थिएटर भी 10 साल कर रहे थे, literally, right? माने फिल्म्स तो हो रही थी, म्यूजिक वीडियो पर 10 साल थिएटर लगातार करते वक्त कभी ऐसा फ्रस्ट्रेशन हुआ कि यार अब तो मुझे बड़े पर्दे में अपने आप को देखना है और 10 साल से मैं थिएटर में लगा हूं, which is great, it hones your skills. I'm still from a very regular middle class family, where you have dreams, where you have aspirations, but at the same time you're told कि यार पहले नौकरी लग जा, पहले अपनी PR कर ले, उसके बाद कर लेना. And I don't feel that parents are wrong there. क्योंकि जिस घर से मेरे पेरेंट्स उठे और जिस घर में मैं आया, वो घर में इतना फ़र्क था. तो मेरे घर वालों ने ये कोशिश की कि यार इससे तो आगे नहीं जा सकता, तो ये कॉन्क्रीट कर ले ना, ताकि तो वापस वहीं ना जाए जहाँ से हम आए हैं. तो my parents were professors. They would take personal loans, they'll work extra work, and they sent me to one of the best schools in my city. So I went to YPS Patiala, which was an amazing school. I did theatre from the age of 4 or 5. Class 4th, 5th se main theatres, debates, and I was doing all of that. By the time I finished my high school, by the time I was 16, 17 years old, I knew I wanted to become an actor. But my parents knew that if he goes out there chasing his dream as an actor, and if that doesn't work, and he has no... तो क्या होगा, क्योंकि हमारे पास कोई दुकान नहीं है जिसका रेंट आएगा, कोई शोरूम नहीं है, कोई प्रॉपर्टी नहीं है, तो उन्हें था कि यार तू अपना एक बार करियर सेट कर ले, उसके बाद जो मर्जी करना. So I went to Australia. I was there for good 4 or 5 years, 7 years I think. तो वो 7 साल में मैं भूल गया था अपना करियर. And I'll be very honest, 2010 से लेकर 2013 तक मैं almost हर साल इंडिया आता था. And I have this on record, you can YouTube it. Every year, 2010, I would play an extra in a movie. 2011, I'd play a small character in a movie. 2011, I'd do an AD work in a movie. मैं ऑस्ट्रेलिया की जॉब छोड़ के 2-2 महीने यहाँ स्ट्रगल करने आता था. I'd do anything that keeps me near a vanity van, near a camera. तो मुझे भी पता तो था नहीं कि एज अ एक्स्ट्रा आर्टिस्ट DOP को बुलाने से तो डर लगता था. तो मैं देखता 35 लिखा है और ये इतना बड़ा फ्रेम आ रहा है, आर्टिस्ट उतना दूर है, ओके अभी ये 100 लगा, अच्छा पास आ गया. अच्छा ऐसे हाउ आई फिगर्ड आउट कि लेंसेज का क्या मतलब है, बिकॉज आई कुडंट आस्क एनीवन, डर इतना लगता था. तो धीरे 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 it took me a while, and then by 2013 I was like यार ऑस्ट्रेलिया में 7 साल हो गए हैं, यहाँ PR आ जाएगी, बढ़िया जॉब है. I was getting a really nice package in Australia and I was like, you know what, नहीं बन सका एक्टर, नहीं बन सका, कोई बात नहीं, कुछ और कर लेंगे. And that's when I called my dad. I still remember the day I had an opportunity from one of the very strong companies as an assistant club manager, and I had a contract, and I called my dad and I was like, Dad, मैनू job मिल गई ਤੇ मैं साइन ਕਰਨ ਲੱਗਾ contract ਤੇ ਮੇਰੀ my car was giving me trouble from 6 months. ਮੈਂ ਕਿਹਾ ਇਹਨੂੰ ਕਾਰ ਤੰਗ ਕਰਦੀ ਆ ਨਾ, ਅੱਜ ਮੈਂ ਕਾਰ ਸਿੱਧਾ BMW ਦੇ ਸ਼ੋਰੂਮ ਲਿਜਾ ਕੇ ਖੜਾ ਦੇਣੀ ਆ ਤੇ ਨਵੀਂ ਕਾਰ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਘਰੇ ਆ ਜਾਣਾ ਤੇ 6 ਮਹੀਨੇ ਬਾਅਦ ਮੈਂ ਆਪਣਾ ਘਰ ਲੈ ਲੂੰਗਾ. And my dad goes ਕਿ ਮੈਂ ਆਪਣਾ ਘਰ 45 ਸਾਲ ਦੀ ਉਮਰ 'ਚ ਲਿਆ ਸੀ. Her house is nothing but a loan. You've secured your residency, you secured your career, you come back, you give it a shot, stay in India for a year and a half, and maybe this might work. I came back to India. I struggled. I was in Bombay for 6 months. I went back to Punjab. I did everything. And a year and a half later, I had my first commercial successful hit as a director. And from that day, I never looked back.
My God, I'm so proud of you. मैंने सुन के ही रोंगटे खड़े हो जाते हैं मेरे भाई. Punjabi artists have something which is very beautiful. ज़मीन से जुड़े रहते हैं. They're very humble. Where does that come from? And I also want to ask you one more thing. जब आप पंजाबी फिल्म इंडस्ट्री में रहते हैं, डू यू गेट अ लॉट ऑफ हेल्प से फ्रॉम जिप्पी ग्रेवाल होते हैं या फिर दिलजीत दोसांझ पाजी होते हैं? डू यू ऑल लिव एज अ कम्युनिटी एंड हेल्प ईच अदर आउट? एंड हैव यू फेस्ड दैट हेल्प?
I've only met Diljit Paji once. I don't think he'd even remember. Back in 2000, I think 15 or 16, he came to a studio doing a song, and I used to live right above that studio. And I heard that Diljit Dosanjh is downstairs, and I was like, oh really? So I went downstairs, acting like I didn't know he's there. I knocked on the door and I was like, oh, ki kari na? Oh, this is Kabaji, ki haal hai? And I had just come to the industry, and I still remember he was sitting on mattress and he was eating an orange, and he offered me, Paji, laoge? I was like, thank you, Paji. I saw him like that. Gippy Paji, he's a sweetheart. I've known him for a few years now. I've known him personally. Diljit Paji, I just haven't met.
You know, परमेश, ये मैं जानना चाहता हूँ, जैसे आपने कहा ऑल्टर ईगो, मेरा भी ऑल्टर ईगो है. People somewhere associate with me energy, sometimes weight, and you know I jump on stage, chairs. But एक साइड है मेरा जहाँ मैं कोने में बैठा रहता हूँ और मुझे
with a book and a cup of tea, right?
And maybe not even talk to anyone.
Yeah.
I have that side.
Yeah.
But a lot of people can't accept that side. But it's okay. I accept it now. जब आपका ये ऑल्टर ईगो है, एक जो लाउड ओवर द टॉप परमेश है, जो बैंग कर देता पावर के साथ, और एक परमेश जो ठहराव वाला है, कभी कभार ये आपके मेंटल बैलेंस को हिला देता है.
I think that's where, if you call this maturity, I don't call it maturity, sure. I just call it the balance. तो मुझे पता होता है कि यार अभी ये काम करना है, switch on कर. And it's very hard because back in the day, that's all I was back then, you know, and I enjoyed doing that. But at the same time, I realized one day, and I'm saying this from my heart, one day I came back home and I saw my dad, and he was old. He wasn't the same guy I left. And I realized यार कि जिंदगी के 4-5 साल कहाँ गए, कि पेरेंट्स के साथ, अपने भाई के साथ, अपने दोस्तों के साथ, यार टाइम ही नहीं है किसी लिए. सारा दिन चक के गड्डी हरल ए शो ओ शो इधर उधर. ठीक है, you know, and I know that a lot of people say that, oh hun tenu gallan aundiyan ne, you're successful now and now you're preaching flantim ka. But all I'm saying that yes, that's true that I might seem like I'm preaching something, but in order to get successful, what all I was losing, I'm never getting that back. I can never buy time with my parents again. I can never buy time with my brother again. I can never buy time with my friends again. So I felt that in these recent times, I and a lot of people and my dear fans, honestly, and that this is actually the first time speaking my heart out. I'm really sorry. I get a lot of messages saying you don't post on Snapchat, you don't post on Instagram, you don't post. That's because I saved that time for me.
तुम्हारी वाइफ के बारे में बता, हाउ डिड दिस लव हैपन एंड उनका कंट्रीब्यूशन टू परमिश वर्मा बीइंग परमिश वर्मा कैसा है?
I think generally what happens is a lot of people we generally complain in relationships कि यार वो बंदा मुझे change कर रहा है, you know, they don't accept me for who I am, you know, they're changing me. What happened with Geet was she never wanted to change me. In fact, whatever I was, she just pushed me harder to become that.
Wow.
And once I become that, I realized, yeah, I need to change. So that's what the transition happens. So if I'm like, you know, I think I have a movie, and recently I finished my first schedule of my next movie, Te Bapu, in January. And I had promised her that after January, you know, I'll come to Canada, we'll spend a month together. She was here till the movie was there, and you know, she left and I was meant to come a week later. And then I realized that I need to lose 35 kilos in 4 months for my second schedule. And if I go to Canada, there's no way this is gonna happen because I have work, I have commitments. So I called her, I'm like, I don't think I can come. And she was like, fine, if you have to work, you work, I'll come. And she's a lawyer, you know, she's preparing for a bar. Like, she's a very active, intellectual, strong being. Like, she's not someone who stays at home and doesn't do anything. Like, she was a member of parliament candidate for Liberal Party. She's a lawyer. So she's an active, intelligent woman. And for her to drop everything and come and spend time with me is something I might not say to her, but I do realize that. And when that happens, I feel that when she gives her 100% and let me pursue my dream, it becomes my responsibility to spend my time wisely and then give her the time and space that she actually deserves. So I think we actually we both work together in one direction, but then that direction revolves as destiny, you know, to come back to where you start.
And no one can mess with you also because you got a lawyer at home.
And I can't mess with her either. She's a lawyer.
No one can mess with her. But her name's Geet, right?
Yeah, Geet.
Hi, Geet. How are you? This video is dedicated to you and your parents as well. Yeah. You did have a health scare at one time. And we read about it and all that. Must have been very tough on you and your family.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I've never really spoken about this in an interview, but I wouldn't get into the details. Yeah, sure. But I'd say that when I got shot and I was in the hospital, there were still people trolling, and they'll be like, "Oh, look at this! Oh, look at you now! You're a big guy, huh? You used to show us your muscle. What happened now?" And I would see trolls, and I'm like, "Damn, some people are mean. Like, I could have died, and they're still laughing. How could you do that?" So, but then again, that also shows that some people might just be in such sad spot in their life that somebody else's pain is giving them happiness. And in all honesty, I'm still in a better space because mentally I am still positive. So at that time I could have been, and I won't lie, like I had a lot of negativity in me, you know, a lot of hate towards people. And that was the time when I actually realized that I need to, because see, your physical health will improve with time. Your doctors will give you medicine. You know, if you do the right things, do the right, operations. If you're lucky, you'll be able to walk again. Luckily, I was able to walk again. But the mental trauma that you go through, nobody really acknowledges that. Nobody really speaks about it. Nobody really asks you about your mental well-being. And I was like, life is going to go back to normal for everybody else. See, that's why I don't get into controversies. Because regardless of how big that controversy might be, people are going to give a shit about it in 3 days' time. So what's the point of me putting myself out there, doing something completely stupid just to get attention for 3 days? And then what's going to happen after 3 days? I have to come up with something even more stupider.
My last two questions. आपने पंजाबी सिंघम बनाया था
जी।
आपको मौका मिला अजय और रोहित शेट्टी
हाँ जी मैं रोहित सर ਨੂੰ ਨਹੀਂ ਮਿਲਿਆ ਪਰ ਅਜੇ ਸਰ ਨੂੰ ਮਿਲਿਆ ਸੀਗਾ ਅਜੇ ਸਰ ਐਕਚੁਅਲੀ ਪ੍ਰੋਡਿਊਸਡ ਦ ਮੂਵੀ ਐਂਡ I worked with his team and it was fun working with them and it was amazing getting the opportunity to play Punjabi Singham and it was something that was unreal for me when I realized that they're doing an official remake and I didn't just get a call. I actually got a poster saying this is it, like this is locked. And all thanks to Manish Paji, who's our co-producer and the distributors. So I feel he created that, and it was amazing that he recommended me, and things went great. And I still watch the movie on television every second, third day. It's dubbed in Hindi, and it's fun watching.
Did you ever get a reaction from Ajay?
No, I haven't, because I met him during promotions, and I haven't met him since. But I'm glad that I got that opportunity, and I'd love to do something like that again.
I have very high regard for Jackie as well, जिन्होंने म्यूजिक को सपोर्ट किया on just music. Jackie इतने सालों से रहा इंडस्ट्री में, and I love his entrepreneurial skills. उनको सही परख है in terms of picking the right kind of music. When you have a guy like Jackie and you get out music via just music, how is it? Is it you doing what you want to do, or is him coming and saying, अच्छा ये है market dynamics, ये चलता है और ये नहीं चलता है?
I think it's him saying, you do what you do, this is what extra I can bring on board. Because I still remember the first conversation we had, he was so enthusiastic about it. And since then, he's been part of every single active, the WhatsApp group, the work groups, and he's the first one to respond. So he's so active. I'm like, damn, yeah, this guy's like full on, in it. And that's what like motivated me. And I'm actually looking forward to this relationship to sort of, to grow into a stronger, healthier collaboration, because what an artist would want from their partner is, them giving their 100%. Because obviously when you've made a movie, you've put in your heart and soul into it. We shot this movie during COVID. My father is retired now, and he was being exposed, to so many people on sets. I was worried about it, and my dad was like, nahi, karange. So I was like, we put in a lot of hard work in this movie. And when you see somebody who gets on board and is just as much passionate and wants to go an extra mile, it really inspires you. And I think huge shout out to Jackie and Just Music. They've done a fantastic job.
Well, thanks so much, Parmish. What a lovely conversation. मुझे यकीन है loads, millions and billions of people watching this video are going to get very inspired by you. You've spoken from your heart. You're very, very mature. You're sensible. You got a crazy streak, but that's what makes you who you are. And let me tell you, not only people of Punjab, but India and the world is going to be watching you very closely. And you're definitely going to be an inspiration. And by God, you're going to make your family very proud. Parmish Verma, मैं हूं सिद्धार्थ Kannan.
Thank you.
Power.